Good afternoon, everyone. So here is Shikha, and today I'm back with the lecture number 49 on Linux. And in this lecture, my main take or my main focus would be on the topic on permission management. Okay, so today we will going to continue with the part first on permission management, and this is a very important topic under Linux. It is considered one of the most important topic, as well as today we're going to cover up the concept plus a bit of practical of this part. Okay, so we're going to have a deep light into this topic. So for that, I recommend you all that you should watch the entire video until the very end in order to avoid missing any vital information regarding permission management. So I think we need to start with the lecture first without wasting our time. Okay, so let's begin the lecture. Yeah. So first let's understand these two terms, what is meant by permission and management. So if I talk about permission it is a kind of an act in which we allow someone to do something. Okay, and if I talk about the management word, management is like when we manage something, when we control something. Okay, so this is kind of permission management in which we manage our permissions. We allow such type of permission to to particular persons so that that person can do anything. So this is called permission management. In Linux as well, as we all know that Linux is a multi-user operating system. Okay, so that's why Linux it also has security. So basically it provides such kind of permission to its users so that the users can assign their work, can do their work, can do their all over their task and operation along with that permission on. So that's why to prevent everyone's confidential details so that no one can access others' confidential details, that's why Linux provide permission management. Okay, so that's the main thing why this topic, why this concept came in Linux, because of the security reason. Okay, so that everyone's detail, everyone's confidential could be saved, could be prevented. Okay, so this is the permission management. So if I talk about in Linux provides three set of permission. And what could be these permission are? Okay, first of all, we all know that in our environment we have two users. The very first is your super user and the second one is your normal user. Okay, so we all know that the root user is such type of a user. We also known as, we also say it the super user, or sometimes we do say it an administrator user. On the other hand, if I talk about the normal user is such type of a user in which we create our own user. Basically, the normal user refer to such kind of a user which we create on our own. So we all know that the root user has some authentications and has some powers so that the root user can do anything, whereas the normal user can't do anything. It has some special rights and some special permission which is assigned by root user. So that's how the things will work. That's how the thing is working properly because of the permissions. Because the authentication, the permissions is not allowed, each and every permission is not allowed to our normal user. That's why the normal user is not able to do all operations. So here we can see the permission is also working. Okay, so as I'm saying that in Linux it provides us three sets of permission. So let me tell you what are these three permissions. The very first is your read permission. Okay, if I talk about the second permission, second is your write permission. And the third one is your execute permission. So now let's understand one by one each of the permissions. So if I talk about the read permission, as the name is suggesting, read means to read something, to read the content. Similarly, if you have a file, or any of the thing, like if you have the link or the directory, anything, under these things there is some content. This content can be read by you because of the read permission, if you have this permission. So basically read permission allow you to read anything. You can read the text. This way the read permission would work. Okay, and the second permission is your write permission. What this write permission is being refer here? So write permission is such type of permission in which we can do editing, we can do modification. That's how the write permission is work. So suppose if you have a file or a directory, how you can write anything under a file or a directory? Because you have the right permission. If you do not have this permission, you can't do any operation related to writing, editing or modification. Okay, so write permission is necessary to do any editing or modification under any context. Now let's understand the third permission, which is execute permission. What is execute permission and how do we use this permission in Linux? So if I talk about the execute permission, execute means to enter. To have the right to enter whereas we want to. Okay, so we all know to enter into any directory, we should have the execute permission. Suppose if I would create a directory and I am not going to provide you the execute permission, then how would you able to enter into the directory? So that's why it is necessary to enter into any folder. You must have the execute permission. If you do not have the execute permission, you can't enter in a folder. So for the folder, execute permission is very necessary. Because if you do not have execute permission, you can't enter into a folder. And if you can't enter into a folder, you can't read the context of that folder. And if you are not able to read the content of the folder, you are not able to write anything under the content. So that's why all these permissions depend on each other. Okay, so if you have the execute permission, you can easily write anything under any content. Still, read could be available, could be applicable for some time. You can use the read permission if you do not have execute permission. Still, read permission would work, but write permission would not able to work at all if you do not have execute permission for a folder. Okay, so I hope you are clear with all these permissions and the main concept behind these permissions. Now let's understand the symbolic name of these permissions. So let me tell you that read permission is being referred to R symbol. Okay, so read is referred to R symbol. Now if I talk about the write permission is referred to W. Okay, so the symbol of write permission is W. And the last one is your execute permission. So execute permission is being referred to X. So by joining all these permissions, we are able to get a permission named as RWX. So this permission is known as RWX permission, the whole full permission. So wherever you are getting RWX permission for any file or directory, it means you have the full permission. Now let's understand the numeric number for each permission. So if I talk about the numeric number, basically our permission has the numeric 4. So basically R is denoted as 4 number, W is denoted as 2 number and X is denoted as 1 number. And that's why the combination of all these would refer to 7. That's why wherever we are getting number 7, we said that we have the full permission. Okay, so that's how the number 7 would be created by the combination of all 3 set of permissions. Okay, now let's understand these things in a better way more. Okay, so I think you are able to get to know what kind of permission do we get in Linux and what are the main numeric and the symbolic things would be referred to these permissions. Now let's assume we have created a file named as XYZ. So to create any file, any folder or any link, you will able to get 3 sections of permission. So there are 3 fields in which your permission would be divided. So now let's understand deeply what are the 3 sections of our permissions. So the very first section is referred to your honor section. Okay. Honor section. Second is your group honor. And third is your others. Now let's understand one by one these three sections. So if I talk about the honor section, the honor section refer to or belong to such type of a user who has created this file. Okay, so the person who create anything, who create any file, folder, or any link, that person is known as the owner of that particular content. So if I am a root user, if I log in with a root user and I'm creating a file named as xyz, so the owner of this file is root user. Okay, so the owner section would be referred to root user. Okay, so that's how the honor section belongs to root user. Because the XYZ file would be created by root user. Similarly, now let's understand the group honor. So we all know, we have also covered under the group management that whenever any user would be created in your Linux environment, a group will also could be generated by its default, like defaultly by its own a group would be also generated. So if you create any user, its group will also going to create. Similarly, if the owner of this file is root user, so similarly the group owner of this file is also the same user who belongs to the owner. Okay, so same group owner will also be the root user because the owner of this file is root and root has its own group named as root only. Similarly, the group ownership is also going to be provided to root user only. So in case, suppose if I am the Shikha user, let's assume betterly this way. Assume I am the Shikha user. Okay, now if I would create this file, so I am the owner of this file. So here the ownership would be given to Shikha user. Similarly, when Shikha user has been created, so by default its group is also going to generate. Okay, so a group is also have generated of Shikha user. So the group named is also Shikha. Similarly, the group owner is also Shikha. So in this case, the owner of this file is Shikha. Similarly, the group owner of this file is also Shikha user. Because this file would be saved under its own group. Okay, so similar case, the root user who has created this file XYZ, the group ownership is also going to provide it to root user only. Now let's understand the others section. Under the other section, under others, such type of users will become, those are the normal users. Suppose in your server or in your environment, there are many other users such as user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4. Okay, all these are the users who has created by the root user only. So these are the normal users. Now all these normal users will become under the other section because they don't have the ownership of XYZ for a file, as well as this file is not created by these users. That's why they are the others users. They are the normal users who has the other section permission. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand what is the honor section and how does this section is belong to the person who create this file. The second is your group ownership. The person who create this file is the user. So if XYZ file is created by the root user, so the group ownership will also going to provide to root user only. Okay, so the group owner is also the root user. Now under the other section, those user will become who is not belongs to XYZ file, who is only want to come under the file and to do the modification or the editing or to read the file. So these kind of users would become under other section. Now, so through the root user whenever you create any file. So by default, the root user, if any file would be created by the root user, by default the permission would be given such like. So first hyphen would show that it is a file. Then under the owner section, it would be provided RWX permission. Okay. Under the owner section, if you are creating any file through the root user. And under the group section, the permission would be given, sorry, by mistaken I've written here. Okay, so under the owner section, the permission would be R and W, and there is no permission for execute. If you are creating any file through the root user, so the owner would get the permission of R, read and write, not the execute permission. And under the group section, the permission would be only read permission. Similarly, in the other section too, the permission would be read only. Okay, so such type of permission would be given to any file if the file is created by the root user. So if I combine all these permission, the permission would be denoted as RW hyphen R hyphen hyphen R hyphen. Okay, and the numeric number for this permission would be for 4, W for 2, and 0 and 400400. So if I would plus all these together, if I would plus all of them, then what would be the permission here? See, 4 plus 2 6, 6 plus 4 10, 10 plus 4 14. But the permission is not given like that. Will be taken the permission into 3 sections, like 4 plus 2 6 and 0, which means it will be 6. So the first section permission would be 6. Now let's understand the second permission, second section of permission. So as we know, second section of permission has only 4 and others are the 0. So the permission would be 4 for second section. Similar case for the other section, the permission is only 4 as we are only able to get the read permission. So the whole permission, or should I say the combination of all these permission RWRR would be 644. Okay, so when you check or when you grab this permission 644 into your terminal, you'll able to get such kind of permission, such kind of output. Okay. So this happens when you create any file from the root user. If I would tell you in the case of normal user, suppose a file named as ABC file would be created by a normal user named as Shikha. So its ownership would be given to whom? Shikha. Similarly, its group ownership will also going to be provided to Shikha user only. Other section, those users would become who is not belong to this file. Okay. So if I would tell you the permission, so under the ownership section, the permission would be R, W, hyphen, and under the hyphen as it is a file. Under the group section, the same permission would be given, such like the user permission, ownership permission, RW, and under the section others, the permission would be only R. So if I would combine all these permission together, so the permission would be RW, which means 6, RW, which means 6, and others are only, which means 4. So 664 permission would be given to the file which is created by a normal user. Okay, so this happens when you create any file. Now let's understand under the directory. What kind of permission do we get under a folder? So let me tell you. Okay, so suppose a folder would be created by a root user. Now let's assume the folder would be named as Delhi. Okay, so this folder is created by the root user. Now the owner section is referred to root. The group section is also going to be provided to root user only. So its ownership is also provided to root user, and the third section is your others. Now let's understand. So under the owner section, for a folder, the permission would be D for directory and RWX permission for the owner section. Under the group section, the permission would be R hyphen X, which means read and execute only. In the similar case for the other section as well, the permission would be R hyphen X, which is read and execute only. Okay, so this permission would be given to the folder if you create any folder through the root user. So it is the by default permission. And if I do combine all these permissions, so the permission you get is that 755. So whenever you will grab this permission, you're able to get such kind of folder which has this permission RWX, RX and RX. Okay. Similarly, if a folder is created by a normal user, so let's the normal user Shikha is created a file named as India. So the honor section, honor is so symbolic number, or should I say the symbol of honor would be U for honor. Okay. And G for group. And O for others. So do not get confused between U and O. U is referring for the honor section and O is referring for the other section, and G for group. So under the honor section, we all know that the honor is the Shikha user, group honor is also the Shikha user, and others are the normal users. Now under the honor section, the permission would be D for directory, RWX full permission. Similarly, under the group as well, RWX full permission. And under the other section, the permission would be only R-X. So the full permission or the combination of this permission would be 775. So this is the numeric number permission for the folder which is created by a normal user. Okay. So basically this is your permission management, and that's how the permission should be managed by the users. And even you can change the permission of any section by the honor section. If you want to change the group section, if you want to change for the other section, you can do as well. Okay, it's up to you. And the command which is used to change the permission is chmod command. Okay, so basically today what we will going to do, we're going to have this till. Okay, now the practical part will be covered under the next part of this permission management, which is the part number 2. Okay, so I hope you will be able to understand this permission management concept easily and very clearly. Hope you'll able to understand this, and yeah, we'll continue with the part 2 in further lectures. So for that, stay connected with me, and thanks for watching.